Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining our Quasi Informational Cyber Seminar series on the 2019 National Water Center Summer Institute. I'm Danielle Tijerina with Quasi, and I'm joined by Lauren Grimley, who is a research scientist at the Water Institute of the Gulf in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and Kelly Flint, who is a graduate student at San Diego State University. This is the first webinar of the Summer Institute series, and it's meant to give just a brief overview of some of the logistics of the program, and then also give some insight into what the Summer Institute experience is like from the participant perspective. And so all three of us who are speaking today have been Summer Institute participants in the past. Lauren and I were a part of the 2017 SI, and then Kelly just wrapped up her work from this last Summer Institute. And so just as far as the presentation goes, we really encourage you to ask questions, and you may do so anytime in the chat box of the webinar, and then we will address all of those at the end of the talk. And so along that, if you have any issues during the talk, just feel free to chat with me or the Quasi organizer, and then we can do what we can to try to help you. And also, we'll probably refer a lot to the SI, which just shorthand for Summer Institute. So with that, we'll go ahead and get started. So Quasi, which stands for the Consortium of Universities for the Advancement of Hydrologic Science, is a nonprofit consortium of about 130 academic institutions and nonprofits and international universities. And our mission is to advance water science by strengthening collaboration within the community, providing infrastructure to empower the water science community, and then also promoting education in the water sciences. And so we do that with kind of two basic activities. And so those are our community services, which include things like workshops, community meetings, and trainings, and then our data and model services, which include web services and things like our HydroShare interface. And so the Summer Institute really falls under our community services, which is what we will focus on today. But if you'd like to learn more information about other things that we're involved in or that we do, you can always go to quasi.org and learn more. So the Summer Institute was established as a partnership between Quasi and the National Weather Service to engage the academic research community in the enhancement of the national water model. And so it's a 7-week residential research program at the National Water Center in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. And this is an opportunity for graduate students to obtain new skills, network with professionals and meet new colleagues, develop experiential knowledge, and really make friends and connections that last long after the Summer Institute is over. And so this is also an opportunity to really get to collaborate with different people and professionals just involved in the water science community and learn what else is going on in our community. So candidates for the Summer Institute are master's and PhD students who are enrolled in a university program. And so this does have to be affiliated with a U.S. university. And we require that participants reside on the University of Alabama, and you'll be staying in a dorm-style suite lodging for the entire summer, and then also work daily at the National Water Center. And so the main goal is to form groups of 3 to 4 members, and with these groups, you'll complete your research project that's based on one of the Summer Institute's themes. And so within these themes, each theme has a theme leader, and you'll work with them to come up and execute the project. It's also important to note that Summer Institute projects should be self-contained projects and will likely be unrelated to your own academic research. And this is just important because we expect that you focus on the Summer Institute for the extent of the summer. And Lauren and Kelly will both will be talking about this process later on forming teams and kind of choosing a theme to work under. And so this is kind of the expected timeline, which is also posted on, will be updated on our Quasi Summer Institute website as we know more specific dates, but the important ones to know are the application period, which will open on November 12th, which is right around the corner, and then also close on January 15th. And then during the springtime, participants will be required to pass a federal security clearance, and so that's completed during spring of 2019. And then as far as the actual Summer Institute, participants will arrive on June 9th. And then after that, participants will participate in a 2-week training and project ideation period. And so that's really when you form your groups and come up with projects to work on. And then after that, fellows will work on the projects for 4 weeks at the National Water Center. And then the Summer Institute will culminate in a capstone event, which takes place on July 25th. And this is where groups present their work, and also your home advisors are encouraged to attend. And then the next day, students depart the University of Alabama campus. And so really the outcomes for this are, first, the capstone presentation, which will include, your home advisors, National Water Center and Quasi staff, and then other people within the hydro community. You will publish work in a Quasi technical report, and you can see examples of those on our Quasi website. And then you'll also have the opportunity to continue working after the summer to publish research in a journal. And just this last August, the Journal of American Water Resources Association published a featured collection on the National Water Model, and this is from work that was done in the 2016 Summer Institute. And so the award for fellows includes a round-trip domestic travel to and from Alabama, lodging in a dorm-style lodging, and then a meal stipend, and also program tuition. And then also included is travel support for your advisor to make one trip to the National Water Center, and then that's preferably for the capstone event. And so I mentioned that the Summer Institute has themes, and so these themes are more or less set, but more information will be available as theme leaders are finalized. But these include coupled inland coastal hydraulics, scaling hydraulic and hydrologic models from small basins to regional watersheds, so really looking at smaller watersheds, utilizing hydroinformatics to look at flood inundation, and then also working with the computer science community to use remote sensing water information. So really, I would really like to emphasize that the Summer Institute is really more than just a research opportunity. There's a lot of really fun activities that go on with it professionally and socially. And so with that, I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Kelly, who will be going over her experience from the Institute. So let me just pass that over.
Alrighty. So hi everyone. I hope you all can hear me all right. I know sometimes my microphone has a little trouble, so Danielle, if it's getting a little funky, just let me know. So as Danielle said, I'm Kelly, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about my experience at the National Water Center Summer Institute this past summer. With that, we will get into my slides. So when I got accepted to the Summer Institute, I was really excited because here was this opportunity to spend 7 weeks connecting and collaborating with a bunch of people from across the country who were invested in science and research and work on these projects that, could potentially be reflected in the DNA of the National Water Model someday. And that was really cool to me. So I was really excited, but I also had this sort of lingering anxiety coupled with that because, is my slide not changing? Okay, perfect. So I was also a little anxious because I was going to be for 7 weeks in a new place with a bunch of new people I'd never met before. And while new things are very exciting, they're also a little bit scary. So I was a little uncertain what it was going to look like to work with these people I'd never met before. Was I going to get along with my roommates? Was I going to get along with my teammates? Was I going to be pulling my own weight on my team? And so all those things kind of were racking my brain in the weeks leading up to the Summer Institute. And I remember sitting in the airport because I got there at 8 a.m. and the shuttle didn't come until noon. And so I had 4 hours to kind of marinate in my anxiety and sort of the uncertainty of what was going to happen the next 7 weeks. But as soon as the shuttle got there and I kind of boarded the shuttle with all the participants, my anxiety immediately dissipated because everyone was welcoming and interested in learning about each other, and not just sort of like, oh, what do you research? It was everyone was interested in learning what we were all like as people. And so that was really comforting and kind of let me know that at the very least, the next 7 weeks would be doable, but they ended up being a lot more than doable. And so we arrived at the University of Alabama, which is gorgeous. I have a picture of it up in the upper left of my slide. I didn't take this picture, actually didn't take any of these pictures in my slides. They're all from Lauren, who was talking next, and Joe, who was one of the other participants. So photo credit to them. But yeah, we got to the university, kind of learned who we were going to be rooming with, and I actually bonded with my roommates really quickly. There's a picture of us in the right of the slide. But yeah, we got along really well and really liked each other the entire summer. I don't know if everyone had that same experience with their roommates, but the group as a whole was pretty cohesive and we all got along together and hung out a lot. And that was really an integral part of making the Summer Institute what it was, especially getting through some of the tougher parts of the Summer Institute and especially, you know, the fun parts too. So I'm going to get a little into what that first week looks like, which the first week is and the last week are, I think, two of the more stressful parts because you're just trying to do a lot at once. The first week you're trying to create a new project and develop teams and, you know, pick a theme, and you're doing all these trainings and doing these team building exercises, and it's all good and fun, but it's just a lot. It's very condensed and very accelerated. And so that can be a little bit overwhelming. And as someone who likes to go through things and evaluate my options and take time to kind of think things through, this was very stressful. And I think it was stressful for most participants at some point, but it did force me out of my comfort zone and made me think and operate in ways that I wasn't really used to, which was kind of helpful in helping me learn a little bit about myself and how I function in sort of a high stress kind of time limited environment and project. But like I said, at the end of the week, everyone is exhausted after trying to absorb all of the information about project themes and all this new information about these trainings from data you've never used before and different interfaces you've never used before, and team building and developing potential project ideas and figuring out, you know, who has skill sets that are compatible with mine and who has a personality that's compatible with mine. And, you know, you get to the point where I have to talk to another person right now, I'm going to scream. But, you know, that's the point when you just take a little quiet time off to the side. I know I had to do that once or twice. And then was ready to go after, you know, taking a moment for myself. But yeah, it's exhausting and intense, but it's fun. I know the whole group of participants kind of hung out with each other on Friday night, and then Saturday morning we headed off to Cahaba River and spent the whole day there, which was a much needed day of zero discussion about projects and just hanging out with each other by the river and getting to know each other and the theme leaders outside of the context of projects, which is a really good time to sort of mentally recharge and kind of prepare for the next week and be able to function and make those decisions we had to make. So yeah, it was a lot of fun. There's a couple pictures from that trip on the slide of the whole group, and there was actually a really cool rope swing in the river that was a little bit sketchy, but very fun. So would recommend. And then by the second week, Monday, you're supposed to have your kind of whole project figured out and your team chosen and whatnot. And you're you kind of submit. So within the first week, you all kind of develop your individual project ideas and pitch them to the group to see, who's kind of interested in what. And then by Monday, you kind of have a soft like project proposal that you present to the group. And so choosing themes, that was difficult because everything sounded interesting. And I came into the Summer Institute thinking that I kind of, knew what themes I was interested in and had the general like order that I was interested in them. And by midweek, after hearing, the pitches from all of the theme leads and, getting to talk to them a little bit more about their projects and getting to talk to other participants about, potential projects that we could, develop and work on, I had completely switched the initial order that I had ranked my themes in. And so, because there were so many, potentially interesting projects to choose from or, think about. And then by Monday, when we actually had to like choose our themes and teammates, I had chosen a theme that I hadn't really even been interested in until the Friday of the first week. And that was the computational aspects project, which was pretty out of my wheelhouse. It was very coding intensive and very theoretical, but it was an opportunity for me to learn a lot, which was essentially what drew me to settle on that project. And then teammates, since I hadn't really been interested in that theme until, pretty much the last day of the first week, I had been dialoguing with a lot of people who didn't end up being my teammates. And I didn't actually really talk to the people who ended up being my teammates until sort of Monday and the weekend. But we actually ended up working really well together, and we had like pretty compatible skill sets, I think. We balanced each other out personality-wise and skill-wise pretty well. So that ended up working out, which is the perk of being in a large group of very capable people, is that, you can, whoever you end up with, you can probably figure something out. And then, yeah, I just kind of want to make a point that it's entirely an iterative process. There was no distinct moment when I chose a theme and then I chose my teammates and then, developed a project. I know I kind of have them ordered out on this slide as if they were, something that happened in a very orderly fashion. But it's not. It's kind of messy and it happens all together, and you're going back and forth between, different themes and, potential project ideas that you're building upon other people's project ideas, and people are building upon yours, and, meandering between teammates or potential teammates. And then it kind of all comes, together at the end and happens all at once. So it's not very orderly, but it works out. And then actually working on the project, once you have your team and theme chosen and your project developed, your project idea developed, you spend the next 5 weeks working on that project. It's largely independent. You have some guidance from your theme leaders and input from them, which kind of depends on how much you want from them. I know our theme leaders were a little bit more involved, I think, than the other theme leaders. We met with them via the web twice a week, and that was at the request of one of our theme leaders. He was, I think, a little bit more invested in the project, and so requested that we meet twice a week, and our team was fine with that. So that's how it worked out. But I know some teams only met with their theme leader or, chatted with their theme leader as needed, and that's perfectly fine as well. As far as schedule and where you work, you could probably work anywhere on campus, I'm assuming, but I think we all worked in the water center the entire time, because why would you not? It's amazing. It's by far the coolest place I've ever been able to work in. And it's overall pretty, when everyone's like there together, it's a pretty fun atmosphere, even though you're working. It's kind of this like big central open plan space with like kind of outer edges of tangential offices or like study nooks, I guess. So if you need to focus on something, you can like retreat into one of those little nooks and get work done. There's a picture of us, my team, doing that actually on the slide. Or you can, if you need a break, you can kind of wander around the like open plan office and talk to the other teams and see what they're up to and just kind of talk with your friends, which is nice for a little bit of like a midday mental recharge when you're exhausted from working. And then when we really needed a break, Lauren would come up with something fun to do like charades. And that was really nice when we were all scrambling to like put reports together. And we just really needed something to relieve that tension. So yeah, it's a pretty fun space to work in, especially with all the fun people. And then as far as schedule goes, you can make your own hours. I know everyone this past summer pretty much stuck to like a standard 8 to 5:30, and we got kicked out of the water center at 5:45, so there was nothing really past that time. But yeah, it was, you end up trying to get all the hours in that you can get just because there's a lot of work to do. It's good, interesting, fun work, but it's a lot, and there's a lot of intensive self-learning and troubleshooting just because there's new and unfamiliar like concepts and different like softwares that you're using that you're trying to troubleshoot and problem solve constantly. So you end up using all of your time pretty much as best as you can, with the help of lots of coffee. I think I drank more coffee this past summer than I have in my life, but it was freely available, so that was nice. But it's nice to, even though it's a lot of work, it's really rewarding at the end of the Summer Institute when you've, written this report and you've done all this work on a project from start to finish and you've gotten something out of it and you get to, present that to a whole bunch of people and have something to show for it. So it's really rewarding, and definitely worth all the work that you put in. And then of course, in addition to all of the work, there is fun stuff, which, okay, good, the slide showed up. So there's a lot of fun that goes on, throughout the entire Summer Institute. You have your weekends pretty much free if you're not working on like other work and stuff. And there's a ton of stuff to do. I know we celebrated a ton of birthdays. I also ate more cake than I think I've ever eaten in my life because we were celebrating a birthday like every week. There's a lot of outdoor stuff to do. We went hiking on Chea Mountain. I'm still not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, but it was beautiful. That's what this sort of mountain scene is like. There's like a stream and then just gorgeous views at the top. We went paddleboarding on the lake one time. And then a few of us took a day trip up to like Little River Canyon National Preserve, and that was really beautiful. It was like a bedrock river with a bunch of rocks to jump off of and like a little short waterfall that you could jump off of. So that was really fun. And then if you're not really into outdoorsy things, because some of the people weren't, there's other stuff to do. There's a weekly farmers market that we went to, and we would cook together. Sometimes we had a barbecue, and that was a lot of fun. It downpoured on us, so that was kind of an extra element of fun. And then I think towards the end of the Summer Institute, we were trying to get rid of some flour and like sugar that we had bought at the beginning of the summer. And so we just had a day where we made a ton of baked goods and shared them with everyone. So that was really fun. And then trivia at Black Warrior Brewing happened every Tuesday. So we frequented that and we even won. We are the top popsicle on that trivia brag board picture right there. So that was also very exciting. I think we got enough bar money to have everyone get a beer for free. So yeah, there's a ton to do. And even if it's not in Tuscaloosa, people who have cars, there's a bunch of stuff within, 3 or 4 hour drives that's definitely like day trip doable. So yeah, there's a lot to do. So it's very much a work hard then like play hard situation. And yeah, I think it's definitely worth it if you're thinking about whether you're interested or not. So yeah, that's pretty much all I've got to say. So I'll turn it back over to Lauren.
Yeah, I think Danielle's gonna control the PowerPoint for me, and hopefully y'all can hear me. If not, I'll just talk to no one. Happened before, happens occasionally. Yeah. So, okay. I have an introduction slide that I guess I didn't need to do, but might as well. My name's Lauren, and I kind of love the fact that I've been all over the place. I grew up in Texas, went to school in Michigan, then was at grad school in Iowa, and now I am been in Louisiana for a month. But that time of period where I was really involved with Quasi was the past 2 years. In 2017, I was a research fellow with the Summer Institute, and then I was able to return in 2018 as a course coordinator. But yeah, so a lot of my experience has been with civil environmental engineering, hydrologic modeling. I worked at the Iowa Flood Center, but a lot of this information going on across the U.S. is kind of tied together, which is really cool. So I was kind of in the headwaters of the Mississippi River Basin, and now I'm at the tail end where right along the Mississippi. All right, next slide. So this kind of gives you an idea of the spread of students or kind of the advisors, the course coordinators that come in to participate in the Summer Innovators Program or the Summer Institute, which I think is totally cool, especially because depending on where you are in the U.S. or even the world, the hydrologic problems vary, but they're all very important, and we can learn a lot from each other, whether you're looking at coastal or inland, flash floods, a lack of water, too much water. All of these are important problems that we as a community need to work together to try to solve and better improve the forecasting ability of the National Water Model. So this gives you an idea of kind of where people have come, and this was for 2018. But yeah, it's just really cool to make friends all over the place, and then also gives you the opportunity, you know, to visit them in the future, reconnect, and just gain a lot of insight and from these different people's viewpoints who have different backgrounds, different research topics. And we even had someone from Puerto Rico last year, which is really cool. So next slide. Okay, so thought I'd talk a little bit about the, I guess, technical aspect of it. So shown on the left, and you've probably seen it a million times, is the National Water Center, and you can see it's a little hazy. FYI, it rains almost every afternoon, but only for like an hour, then it stops. But yeah, so this facility is really great that they are hosting us, and definitely take advantage of the opportunity because you kind of get to just see what it's like to work there, whereas normally people just kind of get a small, quick visit. And the technology is really great. So on the top right, this is kind of their meeting room where we'll have lots of presentations, which is another cool aspect of the Summer Institute, is the leaders try to bring in people who are have expertise on the themes or just kind of an interesting career within that same field. So, and that is Martin Briggs. He's a scientist with USGS and does a lot of field work. So he came in to kind of talk to us and about the groundwater theme. And so you get to meet a lot of really neat people in addition to those who you get to work with. On the bottom left is kind of this training session with Fred Ogden on him kind of talking about soil moisture and this new model they're trying to create and build. So it's a really cool opportunity for you to kind of get to learn about what everyone's doing, what models exist, where your work overlaps, and then also a chance for you to get familiarized with additional models that you could put in your toolbox and use in the future, or just have a better understanding of what they are. So if they come up in topics or at conferences, you are able to hold a conversation. And it's neat, in that photo, you've got the theme leaders participating with the grad students. So it's very, very much a learning environment. And I mean, we continue to learn all our lives. And as you see, we've got even the advisors who are professors. They're in there learning from their coworkers. And so it's a really great environment. And then on the bottom right is the operations center. This is a cool layout that you will be able to see and potentially work in. But yeah, so they've just, these first 2 weeks and then continuing on, it's just a great opportunity to meet people that are grad students and then also just learn a lot about all the advances that are going on in the scientific community for hydrology and hydraulics. And next slide. So another cool aspect is we usually try to, or Quasi tries to integrate kind of a field day. So, you know, you get your hands dirty because most of us are probably in front of computers all day, every day. But these are photos from both 2017 and 2018. So in 2018, the field day was kind of focused on groundwater. And that was cool because we kind of got involved with USGS in Alabama. And there's a lot of groundwater out. I'm not a groundwater person. I stick to surface water. But, yeah, we got to kind of tour that, the groundwater outputs in the right next to the campus, and using these different equipments to detect where groundwater is. And so in this other time, Fred brought down his rainfall simulator, so rainfall runoff simulator. We got to use that, which is something he's brought to Panama before and done a lot of work. So it just kind of gives you a chance to get out of the office and apply these principles. And usually you try to have data collection and data analysis so you can, I don't know, kind of like a lab in one day. And so that's another cool opportunity that you would have to gain skill or exposure to some type of field work. All right, next slide. So what does the end of the Water Institute, what could that look like for you? What could it look like future on, right? So that Kelly mentioned it's pretty stressful, and I definitely do remember that, but it's also a very cool opportunity for you to learn how to be fluid in kind of these fast-moving environments, because these decisions need to be made. Money doesn't last around forever. You know, this is kind of something we'll run into in our careers, and just being able to adapt, work with people, collaborate, solve problems with a timeline. It just allows you to build on skills that you'll find useful for the rest of the time. And if you consider to join, I encourage you to just do your best to remember that everything you're going to learn, no matter what theme or session, is going to be useful. You're going to interact with everyone, and the experience is kind of what you make it and who you decide to talk to and how interested you are in these different topics. So what usually ends up happening is the capstone event, which is for 2018. On these right two photos, you'll present to whoever decides to come down, and that's usually your advisors. A lot of times the National Water Center folks will come, and just other people who are interested in the advancements or the work that you guys will do. And so you can see that's a big room, awesome opportunity for you to share what you're capable of for 7 weeks. People are always impressed, and it's always, 7 weeks is not a long time, so whatever you get done it's usually quite impressive. And so that gives you practice with presentation skills, condensing your work into a short amount of time, telling people that may be different fields, but in such a way that they can understand it. So that's good practice. And depending on, I guess, the year or what you decide to do after, you could have the opportunity to go present this work with your team at a conference. A lot of times students will submit an abstract to AGU, and that's my poster on the left for AGU when it was in New Orleans. I can't remember when that was, I guess last year. And that was also that's a great experience. People are interested. People enjoyed coming to talk to me about the poster and about the work and just learning about the program. And throwing down names of people you met, they get excited. And also the chance to write a technical report that the National Water Center keeps around as kind of their prized possessions. maybe not true, but yeah, it's a great opportunity to kind of give yourself a break from maybe your current research And I'd encourage you to think of it in that way as well, is that 7 weeks really isn't that long. And you learn a lot and you meet a lot of people and you gain a lot of experiences outside of using a single model or, perfecting a certain methodology. You're just going to become more well-rounded, which is valuable for your future careers. Next slide. Okay, so this is potentially, I think, my last one. So the main people associated that you'll be running into are Quasi, NOAA, National Weather Service, Office of Water Prediction, and you'll be working with great experts. These are the ones from last year, all over the country, which is totally cool. And what that kind of translated for me, just so you have my personal experience. So I have had people from my 2017 year, they've come and visited me while I was in Iowa, and I actually just took a trip to Thailand and visited one there. So you really, it's cool to just have this network of people that you now can visit, whether I guess you're traveling or you get to go to conferences together, and just continue to share and learn your experiences. And then also with the theme leaders, it's great to just be in this kind of environment where it's more relaxed, more fun, where everyone's excited to be there. You get to go out and have drinks or dinner with them, learn more about, how they got to where they were, what was fun. You've got the developers of like ModFlow at USGS, which is huge, and other modelers and just people with different backgrounds. And that kind of, I think, could be very beneficial for people as they're trying to figure out and decide what their career might look like or how to get there, or even maybe alleviate the pressures that you might put on yourself that may be unnecessary. And another thing is, you become buddies with these people. And, I have visited them in different places, different times. And ultimately, the people that I met at these events have kind of helped direct where, the job opportunities I've had in the future. So it's a really great thing that Quasi throws on for us. And I would take advantage of it as they continue doing so. And encourage you to bring this to your advisor and ask for the opportunity to attend it, but also just to be open-minded with how it's likely going to be a separation from your work, but not a hindrance to your research, rather like an addition to developing your interpersonal skills, collaboration, and scientific toolbox. So, yeah, if you have any questions, reach out and hopefully I can help you. But Danielle will primarily be the one you should talk to. So back to you, Danielle.
All right. Thanks, Lauren, and thanks, Kelly. And just to kind of reiterate what both of them said, was that, this is a really great experience, and it really, I think it comes down to a lot of it is the people you meet and the new skills that you learn. I wouldn't have my job at Quasi right now if it wasn't for the Summer Institute. So you just never know who you're going to meet or what kind of advice you'll get from all of the folks down there. So with that said, we are going to have 2 more cyber seminars. So just to keep your eye out for that. And then if anybody has any other questions, you can go ahead and type those into the chat now. And I'm going to go ahead and close off my screen, if I can do that, and look at the questions, and then we'll be on the line for a few more minutes to answer those. And then also, of course, the application period for the Summer Institute opens on November 12th. So if you have any questions, you can email me. My contact is down there, Tijerina@quasi.org, and then the website, Summer Institute website. So, cool. I'm having technical difficulties, and I cannot get this to work. So I may have to have Liz join and tell us what the questions are.
Okay, so one of the questions that came in is from Mary Hastings Puckett, and she asked, if I already live in Tuscaloosa, do I have to live in the dorms?
That's a great question, and the answer is no. Some people did, I think last year because they were moving from one place to another, but most of the people who are going to the University of Alabama will just stay living in their houses there.
And that's the only question that has come in so far.
Okay. Well, I think with that, if you do have any questions, like I said, you can email, and then our next cyber seminar will be an introduction to the National Water Center and the National Water Model with Trey Flowers from the National Water Center, and that will happen 2 weeks from today on November 16th. And then the next one after that will be 2 weeks following, and that will be from Fred Ogden and EHAB, and they are past theme leaders, so you can get the perspective from theme leads and kind of see some more about what to expect for the 2019 Summer Institute themes. So thanks for joining, and we hope to see you all or hear you all next 2 weeks from now. So thanks a lot, and thanks to our presenters too.